Hey guys, welcome back into Brady's Auto Repair. We just finished up the F-150 throttle body, so now let's get started on a 2017 Ram 3500 6.7 truck, and it needs a new fan clutch. There's electrical connector. These fan clutches are electronically controlled by the ECM, and this one is not engaging the clutch when it needs to be, and this truck is running hot. You never hear the fan kicking in and out. It's basically like the fan's at idle all the time. He was using the truck a couple weeks back, hauling an excavator and stuff with it, and it was just overheating and not wanting to run cool. So we're going to dig in, get this fan clutch swapped out real quick. So first thing, we got to get this engine cover off. If your truck has the cover that goes over here, if yours has all the emissions crap on it, this would be a good time to go ahead and remove that cover, because it has to come out. The connector on the fan clutch, here's a better visual of that since I can't get a good enough picture in between the shroud and the fan of that. On this engine shroud piece, you just got 4 little push pins, one here, one over in the corner, one up front, and then one back there in the corner as well. So that gets that off the way. Now let's get this nut right here taken care of, and let's go grab some wrenches. Alright, so here is our electrical connector for the fan clutch. And then right here, let me see if I can get my finger in it, right there, this little thing, that's your push pin that holds this right here to that bracket to keep that out of the fan. So let's get this disconnected and then we'll move on. Alright, we got our electrical connector disconnected, and I got that push pin out. What I use on that push pin, this wasn't long enough, I couldn't get enough leverage. Took a big long pry bar here between there and the bracket, a long pry bar up here, and it popped right free. So one's underneath, you got a nut here, and then on the passenger side a little bit higher up, it's right there. We have our fan clutch wrench sitting on the fan clutch there. Man, Maddox fan clutch wrench set, this thing here works amazing. I use it all the time. This one here spun off, and then it says just to compress the collapsible fan shroud, and the other one should come out, so it says. I guess we'll wait and see. Easier said than done, maybe. Alright, so after we got our fan and stuff removed, we went ahead and just took away the clutch off the fan, and after we got this off, I got to looking and I was like, oh, there's a crack. There's a crack. There's one there. There's a big one right here that comes up and starts going over the edge there. We wasn't fixing to chance this thing and put it back in because it was getting ready to come apart anyway. Something like that come apart, and that's catastrophic. That leaves you stranded on the side of the road. So we're going to run and pick up some parts, go grab a new fan. Or I always had it in stock, so we'll get a new fan with our new clutch, and we'll get this thing reinstalled. It was kind of tight pulling that thing out of there, so I just use my bungee cords to help pull that collapsible fan shroud back, one up top and one down low on opposite sides. And then just a lot of time, I didn't notice, go ahead and remove this bracket that holds the radiator hose and put it on the back side of that bracket to hold it, and that gave a lot more room for that thing to clear and come on out of there. Alright, we just got back from O'Reilly's and went ahead and put our new fan back on the shroud. Let's get that fan shroud collapsed and pulled back in, and we'll slide this thing right down in there. Alright, fan clutch is on, so we'll just spin it righty-tighty to tidy it on up, air hammer, and give it a little motivation and tighten it back up. You'll have to reuse that same push pin to connect your fan wiring back to this. That's crucial that that's plugged in, because if not, you crank this thing up, it's going to rip all the wiring out of it. So you want to be sure that's out of the way, and we'll spin the fan to verify once we get this pushed up out of the way that nothing's going to come into contact with it. Alright, we got our fan connector and the harness plugged back in. So now, after we got that done, let's get the fan shroud itself bolted back in. Remember guys, earlier I said we was missing a nut, so let's go find a new nut to thread onto this so that we can keep that shroud in place. Alright, we got all of our hardware in for our fan. I was able to find a spare nut out in the bolt bin, and now putting the nut back on for the bracket for the upper coolant hose. And while we're right here, we'll go ahead and spin this fan, be sure everything's out of the way. Nothing's hitting. Everything clears with room. And we will fire this sucker up once we get that cover back on. Give us just a minute. All right, we cranked it up and verified everything was good with the fan. When I cranked this thing up, man, leaves were blowing off the cowl because of how much air it was pulling finally off this thing. So this one here is all done. We'll get the hood closed up and we will send this one here on its way.